How's it going, everyone? So, with the 124th overall pick, the Packers did select an edge rusher in Barryn Sorrell. So, doing a bit of a deeper dive of who he is. So, coming into this draft, he was actually the 22nd best edge rusher in this year's draft in the consensus draft board and was ranked 143rd overall out of all the players. So, if you kind of put it in out of all the overall players, just in a ranking set, yes, he was picked a little bit ahead of what his overall number was, but considering the Packers picked a lot later with their next pick, or would have to trade up after this pick, it kind of makes sense. He kind of laid exactly where he probably should have fell. So for his RAS score, he scored a 9.3 RAS score, so a really high RAS score for edge rusher. Has a height of 6'3", weighs 256 pounds, and did the bench press 28 times, 28 reps of 225 pounds. Had a vertical jump of 34 inches and a broad jump of 10 feet and 1 inch. Ran that 40-yard dash in 4.68 seconds, so has really good speed, and has a shuttle time of 4.36 and a three cone of 7.06, so has that good horizontal speed as well and a good agility. And if we're to look at all the edge rushers that ran the 40-yard time, that would put him tied for 7th best out of all the edge rushers at 4.68, with the highest being James Pierce Jr. at the 4.47. So about 0.21 seconds slower than the fastest 40-yard time out of all the edge rushers. Now, for his time at the college level, he spent 4 years all at Texas. In the first year, only played in 6 games, had 7 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss. In his second year, played in 13 games, 44 total tackles, 9 tackles for loss, and 5.5 sacks. In his third year, played in 14 games, had 37 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. Then in his final year, played in 16 games, had 44 total tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 6 sacks. So a decently productive college career over there at Texas. And then if we're to kind of look over on the PFF side, in his final year, he played 651 total snaps. That is a lot of snaps at edge rushing. Had a defensive grade of 71.5, a run defense grade of 73, tackling grade of 47.4, pretty low, that's kind of bad, and a pass rush grade of 74.6. Now, he probably had a 47.4 tackling grade because he did miss 11 tackles, which was good for 19.6 missed tackling percentage, so a little bit high. But on the plus side, yes, he kind of did miss tackles, but for looking at over his 4 years, the amount of stops that he had in the run game, he had a lot of stops. So in 2022, had 21 total stops, 2023, 20 total stops, and in his final year, 25 total stops. So very good in the run defense department. Now, for what are some of the pros for him? He has a solid frame for an NFL edge rusher with room to grow. Earned a 9.28 RAS score. Of course, that is actually a little bit lower as it's kind of been tweaked once we got the final number. So really, he has a 9.31 RAS score at the NFL Scouting Combine. Either way, very high RAS score. Decent burst off the line of scrimmage. Active hands as a pass rusher and is solid at working the offensive tackle's hands after contact. Good agility to gain ground vertically while working laterally to take efficient paths as the looper in line games. Flexible hips and ankles to have solid bend at the top of rush, and athletic to break down when unblocked and make tackles in space against wide receivers versus jet sweeps or screens. So very, very good to see that, and he's very good on the edge. Now, what are some of the cons for him? Shorter arms limit the extension on blocks he can get as a run defender and allow long-limbed offensive tackles to make the first significant contact when rushing the passer. Plays with high pad level, stands up out of his stance. Not physical and strong at the point of attack, will struggle to set the edge against offensive linemen and good blocking tight ends. Lacks rotational strength to keep his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and avoid getting washed out of his gap. And needs to rush with more of a plan. Doesn't show many counter moves if his initial move doesn't work. And overall, his bread and butter was more in the run defense. Yes, he has shorter arms, but he's still very good in the run defense. Pass rushing has a lot of room to grow, but he does have what seems to be like an unlimited motor. He's very relentless. He's powerful. He has a good frame, and he pretty much, some of the scouts said, essentially when he's going to, once the ball is hiked and he's trying to sack the quarterback, all he does is see red. He is relentless. So He has those kind of intangibles that you kind of can't coach. Gotta love and have a player that has a super high motor, is relentless. And now for his fit with the Packers, this was a player that the Packers did need to kind of draft. We needed to get more players on the defensive side to help with pass rush. Yes, he has a lot of room to grow, but where he does help is the run defense, which is also a place where we needed to kind of replace with TJ Slayton departing for free agency. When TJ Slayton was on the field, our run defense was significantly better when he was off the field. So we needed someone to replace that. Hopefully he can kind of at least support that in his first year. He will be a rotational piece, most likely, depending on how his training camp and offseason goes with the Packers. But could see some good early downtime in the rotation to help on run defense. As of right now, he is slated as the third stringer over on the left end side, behind Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. And then over on the right end side, you have Kingsley Ighnebari and Brenton Cox Jr. And then third string position would be Aaron Mosby. But at the end of the day, it's really nice to see that the Packers finally, after the first 2 days just going strictly offense, finally drafting a very big position in need. I thought it was actually the biggest position of need. The Packers thought otherwise with drafting 2 receivers and an offensive tackle. But in my opinion, I thought it was the biggest need in this draft considering the lack of pass rush and with, TJ Slayton leaving. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.